Welcome to another edition of Issues with JIDE. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, outrage as Niger Coup plotters threaten to kill President Bazoum. And later on the show, we'll try to understand the question as to why former Governor Nasir El-Rufai withdrew interest in ministerial appointment. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to also mention that we can only read comments whose names are clear and are about the issues discussed. I have joining me Bazoum, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you again, BKO.
Thank you, Brian, for doing this with me on a very windy day in Lagos.
Absolutely. So let's start with the trending issue within the ECOWAS region. Niger's junta told a top U.S. diplomat that they would kill deposed President Mohamed Bazoum if neighboring countries attempted any military intervention to restore his rule. How are you reading this political development in Niger?
What I see is desperation on the part of the Houthis in Niger Republic. Power is such a sweet thing. Power is so intoxicating that once people taste power, they do not want to give it up. Despite all the pressure being mounted by ECOWAS and now AU that has endorsed ECOWAS's actions, these coupists are not prepared to play ball. They have arrested members of President Bazoum's family and put them in detention. They have put in detention elements who served in the administration of President Bazoum. If they were interested in showing regard to ECOWAS, they would have at least released members of Bazoum's family as demanded by ECOWAS. But they are holding on to these people, seeking to use them as human shield in case of an area bombardment of Niger Republic. Because Niger, as I've said for years, is a failed state. All the parameters that you use to determine a failed state are present in Niger. In many parts of Niger, there is no evidence that anyone is in charge. And that was why Boko Haram found it very convenient to hide in many parts of Niger. So we are dealing with powermongers, people who have tasted power and are not prepared to give it up. And I think they've been encouraged by the fact that between 2020 and now, we've seen 6 military rulers take over ECOWAS states. The last one was, in the case of Chad, what I wanted to say was, in the case of Chad, the former president, a military ruler, after his death, after he was killed, his son, who took over the reins of power, promised a very swift transition to civil rule. But that's what we always hear from these guys. Once they've tasted power, they will not allow transition to civil rule to take place. They will simply hold on to power. And that is what these guys have done. The leader of the coupists in Niger Republic was the commander of the Agas Brigade. Just because the president wanted to remove him after 12 years in that position, he took the decision to plot a coup. It's really unfortunate. And Nigerians need to understand that this is not simply Bola Tinubu's decision. People are calling Bola Tinubu warmonger, but it just happens to be at this time the ECOWAS leader. We are talking about a decision jointly reached. You are talking about resolutions made by ECOWAS, which you expect ECOWAS member states to abide by. So this is not simply a Tinubu decision. It's a decision jointly taken to pile pressure on these military rulers through sanctions capable of crippling the nation, capable of bringing the nation to its knees. And in doing this, we don't have to be emotional. There's no reason for anyone to take power so I hope that our people will understand that, look, ECOWAS has a duty.
All right. BK, can you hear me?
People need to realize that ECOWAS has a duty to restore in Niger. I do not support war. I do not want war to happen. But hearing the Sultan Sokoto and some people demanding that the sanctions should not be placed on Niger Republic, I feel really disappointed. Then what do they want ECOWAS to do? ECOWAS president, these ECOWAS nations are worried that it is Niger Republic today. It could be Togo tomorrow. And that's why you see that they are doing their best to ensure that these coupists do not get away with what they have done. And the world has changed. If they think that they will get away with killing the President Bazoum, there's nowhere for them to hide. Wherever they go, they will be arrested and brought to justice. The International Court of Justice is there to try them. When Pinochet, the former president of Chile, was killing people for fun, he never knew that a day would come when he will be made to face justice in the international. So I do not think that they will carry out the threat, but I also cannot say that they cannot carry it out. The same president killed in that country before. Also, president killed in African country to say that they cannot. The Niger Republic has not got the military might to stand Nigeria. Not to talk, let it fight of anybody. I believe that if military raids, if air raids were to be carried out in the capital, the army, President said that ECOWAS prioritize dialogue.
Right, BK.
I hope that dialogue will continue, especially now that the former Emir of Kano was allowed to visit.
Right, BK, looks like, just a moment. Looks like your audio quality has been tampered with. Could you just turn on and turn off your mic so that we can restore the audio quality? Just turn off the mic and on it and put it back on. I think we can manage. We can manage this. Okay, so could you land on your thoughts before I take some of the comments?
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, could you land on your thoughts? So before I start taking some of the comments that we have already.
Yes, saying is that I believe that since President Tinubu has said that ECOWAS will prioritize dialogue, they have to push for a resolution of this matter without a resort to war. When diplomats talk about not ruling anything in or not ruling anything out, it's meant to pile pressure on the on this kind of higher parts of the ECOWAS. I think that they are trying to pile as much pressure on reminding peace in the Niger Republic that war is possible if they do not behave themselves. Let them to behave themselves.
Right, Biko.
56% of the votes. That is significant. How brush such a person aside as a popularly elected president? You can't just come from nowhere because some other brigands from Mali, from Burkina Faso, Guinea, have taken Sudan, and taking power. Then you then think that even none of those African countries where they're taking power, the military has not made real progress to happen. So some of our people are getting emotional about this matter. They need to wake up and smell the movie. We shouldn't be excited about military. The worst civilian administration is still better than military.
Right, Biko. We may want to have you, rejoin the link. Looks like your microphone is a bit far away. You may want to rejoin so that we can have a good, very sound quality of your audio. While you're doing that, I will definitely take one or two comments from our viewers on YouTube. Sunday, okay, well, Sunday is actually talking about the next topic. We have to talk about these topics based on, send your comments based on the topic that we are treating, and not, putting comments ahead. The topics we are supposed to discuss. Bukola Ayobami says, this show is full of intellectual discussions. I like the presenter and my man, Babajide. May God bless both of you for the patriotism and unbiased thoughts on Nigeria issue. Thank you to that. Fabian says, Africa is on the brink, on the wave of coups, not because of corrupt and selfish military dictators, but because of consistent incompetent administration and governance. AU must rise up to reform Africa. BKO, I see that you're back now. Say something.
Can you hear me clearly now?
It's still a bit faint. Well, let's move on. Let's move on. I think you just have to project so we can hear you clearly. You're sounding a bit far away.
If I speak louder, I'm outside. So if I speak louder, do you hear me clearly?
Yes, if you speak louder, we'll hear you clearly.
Okay. This last thing that I said, is it clear enough?
Absolutely. This last thing that I said, is it clear enough? Definitely we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So, Nelson at the first time says, okay, go ahead.
Is right.
Right.
The more African leaders fail to provide quality leadership, the more people lose interest lose their desire for democracy. If it continues this way, more and more people will want to see military rulers, especially young ones. They would think that, oh, those young military rulers will bring real progress, will bring growth and development. But at the end of the day, these are just power mongers, people looking for power by any means possible. And once they get power, in no time, they would transmute into civilian leaders. And yesterday's military ruler suddenly becomes a civilian leader. It's a case of if you can't beat them, join them. This is what these guys are doing. If these guys in Niger get away with what they have done, I can guarantee you they will not give up power.
So, Biko, with the actions ECOWAS has taken so far, it does appear the community has woken up from its seeming oblivion. What do you think they can do to consolidate on their coming alive and send signal to the rest of other nations of the world that it's no longer an ineffective community?
Hello, Ibrahim.
Yeah, Biko, can you hear me?
Ibrahim?
Biko, can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you, Biko. Can you hear me? Looks like we're having connectivity issue. Biko, if you can hear me, just try to...
Ibrahim?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Ibrahim?
I can hear you, BKO. I can hear you, definitely, BKO. Oh, okay. So I think I just need to send a bit of message to you. Just maybe you can click on the click on the icon, the speaker icon, so you can reactivate the voice. Can you hear me now, BKO? All right, so BKO will definitely rejoin. While he's doing that, let me take one or two comments. Yeah, Banji says, thanks for the clarity of your narrative on the position of ECOWAS vis-a-vis the role of Nigerian president in Niger's affairs. Ayomide Suleiman says, Mr. JIDE, look at Cote d'Ivoire and Togo. They are in power for more than 2 terms. That is the main problem of coup. You're back, BKO. Can you hear me now?
No. I said it is me.
BKO, are you there? BKO, say something. Hello, BKO. All right. BKO, pending the time where you can hear me, you could just say something so we can hear you. Bukola says, people need to understand how international relations and diplomacy work. It's not in our interest to let the coup plotters have their own ways. ECOWAS must not let them have their ways. Right, that's a comment from Bukola. Many comments are actually, dropping in here. BKO, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great, fantastic. So I was asking that with the actions ECOWAS has taken so far, it does appear the community has woken up from its seeming oblivion. What do you think they can do to consolidate on their coming alive and send signal to the rest of other nations of the world that it's no longer an ineffective community?
Yes, ECOWAS must show that it can back as well as bite. They cannot pull back at this time. They must show that they can back and they can bite. A situation in which some brigands will just take over power from people legitimately elected should not be condoned. Should not be condoned. Something must be wrong with people who think that bringing the military to take over power is something that is sensible. It diminishes all of us. It diminishes us as a people. And when these guys step up, if they are resisted, if we make a habit of resisting them, I can tell you that if the coup in Mali had been resisted, if the coupists in Burkina Faso had been resisted, these ones in Niger Republic would not have gone to the length that they went. So the ECOWAS has to make it clear that coups will not be tolerated in the West African sub-region. And I approve of all of what ECOWAS has done so far. Yes, I don't want to see war, but other measures that can be taken to bring this aberrant regime in Niger Republic to its knees must be taken. All such steps must be taken to bring them to their knees.
Very quickly, BKO, we need to go to the next topic. But then I would like to take you up on this. You know, just like the Arab Spring that spread across much of the Arab world in the early 2010s, and now looking at the growing agitations in the Sahel region and the coup here and there, Nigerian Defense Headquarters also shunned calls for coup. Is this a pointer to what we might want to call the rise of the Sahel Spring?
You see, many of the people, especially the little boys and girls asking for coup in Nigeria, they don't know what they are doing. Many of them have never been under military rule. You see a little boy on Twitter talking about a coup, a boy who is not more than 20 years. What does he know about coups? Unfortunately, the fact that history was even taken off the curriculum in our tertiary institutions has not helped matters. Secondary schools has not helped matters. So they don't even know their history. They don't know the dangers inherent in military rule. They don't know that even military destroys. Military rule destroys the military as an institution. So what we see is, once some people don't like you, or the candidate that they do not like has won an election, they would want the military to take over so that it will be all square. Nobody will be able to say, okay, I won. This is what they are doing. Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu won an election. There are some people who cannot live with an Ashwaji presidency, and they've been talking about military coup in Nigeria, but it's not going to happen. Military will not take over power in our country. It will not happen. I lost my friend Babajide Kolade-Otitoju to military rule. There are other people that were lost. You know? So why would anybody ask for military rule? What will military rule bring? They are wasting their time. All the children of anger who do not know their left from their right asking for military rule in Nigeria and other places. They are going to be disappointed because it is not going to happen. An election has taken place, somebody has won. If your candidate did not win, then you have to wait for 4 more years. That is, if you can't provide enough evidence to show that you didn't win the election, then you have to wait for the next 4 years. If you can't wait till the next 4 years, then maybe you have to leave the country for the rest of us. But calling for military rule is stupid, is very irresponsible, is infantile, and it will not happen in our country. Not again in my lifetime, as God lives.
Right. So many comments regarding the first topic, but we need to change tack by talking about the issue because we understand that former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has withdrawn his interest in being part of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. What do you think? Why do you think he took this decision?
What we have scrolling on the screen saying has Nasir El-Rufai withdrawn interest in ministerial appointment is stale. We shouldn't be scrolling that. That is stale news at this time. Nasir El-Rufai has given up his ministerial nomination, and he has spoken with the president and had himself replaced by somebody that he chose. You know, there were all kinds of intrigues behind this. Many people were disappointed that some people who had corruption cases against them, they were cleared, only for Nasir El-Rufai to be stopped based on a petition. You know, and I think it was clear to him that even if somehow the president put his foot down and he gets cleared, he's going to face so much fire from the same people who engineered his what was it called? Who came up with the petition in the first place. So he doesn't want that to happen to him. Remember, he's always said that he does not want to be anything. It is the president that piles pressure on him to come and contest. I'm aware that when the president came to Kaduna for an event, the president said clearly to him that, look, we will not allow you to go and rest after serving as Kaduna governor. You need to serve at the federal level. So, and the president has always wanted him to be in his government because El-Rufai has his problems. Sometimes the kind of statements that he makes it difficult for people to like him. You can't be making such terrible comments about Christians. You can't sit in Kaduna and be promoting Muslim governorship and some of those things that divide us as a people and expect that you'll be liked. Of course, they will not like you, but no one can argue that Malam El-Rufai has capacity, and I can tell you that I feel disappointed that he's not going to be in this cabinet. I feel really, really disappointed that he's not going to be in this cabinet because it is the president that has lost a very capable hand. Yes, El-Rufai has to mind the way he speaks, but at more than 60 years, I doubt if it is not too late for him to change his ways. But the point that I'm making is El-Rufai will have made a difference in this administration. Every administration needs someone like him who has got a lot to offer. It is unfortunate that he has been allowed to go in this way because he had even begun working on the ministry on power and energy, because it was speculated that he would take the power and energy portfolio, and he had even drawn up a committee that made a presentation to Mr. President on Wednesday, and it was on that Wednesday that he dropped the name of one of his former commissioners to replace as a minister from Kaduna State. He has made up his mind that he does not want that position anymore because he believes that he will be embarrassed. You know, we hear all kinds of things like politics. Yes, at this in our kind of politics, you cannot wish away the fact that some people will feel threatened by Nasir El-Rufai coming into the cabinet, and they will do whatever it takes to get him out of the way, because he's a man of strong character. You know? So they were never comfortable with him, and I'm not surprised that in the end they had their way. Nasir felt that it will make no sense for him to remain in the cabinet and have the same people who came up with the petition against him contend against the same people who came up with the petition against him. So he would rather want to be outside of the cabinet so that someone else can occupy the Ministry of Power and Energy that they wanted to give him at the time. It is really unfortunate. I had expected that to be done, but at the same time, I do not approve of the way he speaks and some of his actions. But none of us is perfect. I choose. I prefer to speak about the good side of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We have to be able to harvest the good sides of people and not dwell too much on those things that they do. But I can understand that Christians are not happy with him, especially in Kaduna State. They say he did not handle the security of the state very well. People in southern Kaduna lost a good number of their loved ones. As a governor, he did not find any way. He could not bring the insecurity under control. But it's not southern Kaduna alone that faced killings in Kaduna. There were other parts. It can be Chikun, so many parts of even Gwari that you cannot say is part of southern Kaduna. People who are being killed. So yes, I believe that Malam El-Rufai was convinced that he may not get the security clearance, you know, that he was waiting for. And he got some feelers that some people will make sure that he doesn't get cleared. That was why he made up his mind to leave the cabinet. He had to tell the president to let him bring a replacement. I understand that the president told him to give him some time, you know, to look at the issue. But he said he had made up his mind that he will be happy to come out of the. I mean, he will be happy to give up his ministerial ambition so that other people can come. He's always said that there are others who can do it, that will be happy to bring forward young people who can do the job. I know that he's always spoken about this, but somehow the president convinced him to serve. But look at the way it has ended. So I believe that in whatever capacity that you give El-Rufai, he will do a fantastic job. He has his successes. Not to being caught others. He definitely has his successes.
Absolutely, because
but I believe that he's still one of the very brilliant statesmen, tested servant.
Absolutely, BK. So let me take one or two comments here. Marco JIDE says, El-Rufai is a very intelligent man, but unfortunately, he has soiled himself with religiously inciting comments, thereby losing the respect and support of many of us. Nelson Adufe says, El-Rufai is acting elder statesman, and as a technocratic leader, I love his action. Bokola Ayobami says, to be honest, it will sadden my heart if truly he has withdrawn. I'm highly disappointed. It doesn't need Nigeria. Nigeria needs him at this point. We need his expertise and boldness. Folashade Olanroye says he's capable and intelligent. He can still be useful in other area apart from being a minister. Now, Fabian Akaize says El-Rufai, Umahi, Wike, Matawale, and Oyetola should never have been shortlisted to become ministers. They have had their fair share of opportunities in the Fourth Republic. We must not act like polymath. Yes, so BK, we are costing on because of our time. What's your final thoughts on what we discussed so far?
Yes, my final thoughts on Niger Republic. I believe that ECOWAS has taken the right steps. Comprehensive sanctions are capable of bringing down the government. Apartheid South Africa was defeated through sanctions, not through military might. So people think that sanctions never work. They don't know what they are saying. I believe that sanctions can work in this case. Then, talking about Malam El-Rufai, I feel really bad that one of the most capable hands who had so much to offer our country has exited the ministerial list and has been replaced by Jafaru, one of his former commissioners. So it's bad enough. It is President Tinubu that has lost. It is Nigeria that has lost. El-Rufai, no matter how bad he is, I've criticized him many times, but you will never hear me say he's not competent or that he has failed in any role given to him. El-Rufai is capable. El-Rufai has a lot to offer our country, and I can tell you, he has also told the president that he will offer his advice when needed. He is still available to assist in building the nation, but he does not want to be a minister this time around because he felt embarrassed. Why should it be him that will be they refer to the security agencies for investigation? No?
Absolutely.
So, it is what
Absolutely.
it is.
It is what it is. Just like
who are left in the list. We work with others. Hopefully, they will have their retreats. After their retreats, they'll be properly inaugurated and given portfolios. Nigeria needs to move. There are so many problems that we are facing as a nation. So Nigeria needs to move fast. I hope the president realizes.
Right. Just like Friday Okon says, I'm very disappointed that people can take our hatred for former Governor El-Rufai to this extent. Why can't the president block all these petitions before it was too late? And Bukola Ayobami says, I do not understand why people feel intimidated by others' intellectual brilliancy. What exactly is going on in Nigeria? Unfortunately, because of our time, we will definitely continue this, in our subsequent programming. And that's our show for today's edition of Issues with JIDE. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses, as always, against all odds. And thanks to you, Brian. All right.
Thank you for doing this with me today. We'll be back, no matter the difficulties, we'll be back again next week.
Right. And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim TVC News. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.